are you doing today?
Man, doing well, thanks, Gilbert. Hope all is well with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you being here with us again. So, just to refresh some of the memories for the people about Pinnacle, can you just briefly give us a quick overview about your company as an update?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Pinnacle is a gold silver developer more than anything else. Our business model is built around a fast track to production, getting into production quickly, and then trying to build the company out of cash flow. So, we're not pure exploration. We're not looking for a discovery or trying to build a big resource or anything like that. And consequently, we are focused on past producing mine, getting it back into production. And we're in the Sierra Madre belt of Mexico, so a very prolific gold silver region. And the project we have is a past producing mine, and we're looking at getting it back into production as soon as we can.
Great. Let's talk a bit some of the recent updates. You have quite a few things going on in your announcement. Uh, One of the main thing, of course, is the underground delineation drilling program going on here. So how's that going on? And also, you published some latest metallurgical test results before. How does that change for you or learn about your project's potential?
Mhm. Well, when we took this project on just in February of last year, so it's relatively new, and even though it was a past producer, it was privately owned, shut down in 1990. So the project was never drilled. And there are three historic mines along a 500-meter trend of the main vein, and but well, we had access to those underground workings, but as I say, never been drilled. We didn't have any old production data, so in a lot of ways, we were starting with a clean slate, and that allowed us to get underground. And we took almost 900 systematic channel samples from underground to get a sense of where the mineralization was, and what it looked like, and so on. And based on that work, we then put together an underground delineation program to drill the zones at very close spacing, in order to get a much better sense of the size, the shape, the overall grade of the mineralized zones. And so that's where we are now. We are drilling underground at the moment. I believe they're on hole 41 as of today. We had announced about 108 drill holes in a 2,500-meter program. So, I mean, these are very short holes, because we're right in the mineralized system. And so, in a lot of cases, with the underground drill, it's a little bit like a bicycle wheel. It's the best analogy I can think of, where the drill would be the hub of the wheel, and the holes are like the spokes going off in different directions. And so in doing that, the holes are very closely spaced, and about typically 10 to 15 meters between holes. And in some cases, the holes are also very short, because when we drill from the underground working, as soon as we pass through the contact and out the other side, then there's no need to go any further, so the hole gets shut down. So, I mean, we've had holes as short as 5 meters. It's so it's been going along quite well. And as I say, holes 41 to date. But we don't have results for all of those. Obviously, still waiting for assays to come in from the assay lab. But as we get the results in, the nature of this program is such that it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to release a few holes at a time, when we're drilling over 100. And we also need to put the results together and interpret them and put it all in proper context, because when the holes are only 10 to 15 meters apart, putting out a table of drill results really is meaningless. It's just a bunch of numbers without a proper context. So that's what we'll be waiting for as we collect the assay data. So it may be a little while yet before we're able to actually do that and release the results, because we do want to frame it properly, interpret it, and put the results out in the proper context. And as we do that, we're moving towards a surface drilling program as well, which will be able to drill some of the areas in between the three historic mine workings, because they're not all connected underground, as well as to test some of the areas that you just can't access from the surface, or sorry, from underground. And then we'll also be testing other veins that are, a couple 100 meters, 500 meters away, and because those have never been drilled either. So all of that will go towards building a resource estimate, and then ultimately that will lead into a mine plan, and the idea is to get to a production decision on all of that.
Great to hear. You mentioned earlier about your project. Of course, it's not a pure exploration one. It's latest stage. You wanted to bring this to production. So recently, you've appointed Auramet to be the lead project financier for this, to arrange a non-equity financing potentially for this project. Can you tell us a bit more about this? Why is this important, and what sort of timeline are you looking at for this to achieve later on?
Yeah, it's it's important in a number of ways. I have a long-standing relationship with Auramet. I've known them for more than 20 years, and did business with them in my previous company, Great Panther Silver. And so we have a very, very good relationship. And so when we started discussing the possibility of working together on this, whereby they would provide advance funding for the production startup, so the 5 million that was mentioned in the news release is really all that's required to get this mine back up and running. So it's not a huge amount of money, but at the same time, we didn't want to have to finance that through equity, because 5 million US, that's about 7 million Canadian, and with the markets being as they are right now, it just would be very dilutive. So we'll be doing this having this arrangement with Auramet to provide funding for us on a kind of a drawdown basis, and then it gets paid out over time through an offtake arrangement or something like that. And we haven't defined the final terms yet. We'll do that as we go along. But the other thing is that given that Auramet is such a well-known established metal traders, they've done over $1.5 billion of business in the industry. Having the support of a group like that gives us a lot of confidence in what we're doing, and I think it brings a lot of credibility to the company as well, and to the project. For them to put their name behind it, and they've stepped up and actually invested in the company as well. They put some money into our last financing that we did, and they're participating again in this current financing that we're doing. So it's a super important relationship for us and for the project.
Nice to hear that development. And in parallel, you mentioned also that you're doing financing. I believe you completed a private placement early in this year. So why is this new financing important, and in terms of what you want to achieve in moving forward with this project?
Yeah, the previous financing went towards the underground drilling, and also to 2 phases of metallurgical testing, which actually I meant to mention, that those were also extremely important in de-risking the project, because through that we basically confirmed the high grade nature of the project. We're looking at somewhere between 9 and 10 grams per ton gold equivalent, being gold and silver. Also, it gave us an indication of better than 97% recoveries on the gold side of things. And silver is a little bit lower because of a more complex metallurgy or mineralogy, but silver we should be looking at about maybe 70% recoveries. And that was all part of that last financing, and so we've been continuing to advance the project in that regard. The current financing is geared more towards the surface drilling that I mentioned that will be upcoming. Our goal is to start that in September, and then probably drilling throughout the balance of the year. So this financing will kick off that program. And just continue to do all the things that we need to do to continue de-risking the project in order to get to that production decision and have access to the Auramet funds. So, the drilling, probably continued metallurgical testing, all the various types of permitting that are required, and then moving into a resource estimate and a mine plan before the end of the year.
So let's just talk a bit about your valuation, your price, as the final question here. The junior market has been quite volatile the past few months. Most of the juniors has gone down quite a bit, 30-40%. Your stock has been holding up about 10-11 cents level. So my question is, do you believe you have some of the catalysts and priorities until the end of the year that investors should be aware of, and even continue on moving forward into the new year? What sort of investors should be following your company, and why they should do so at this moment?
Yeah, you make a good point, Gilbert, that in this kind of a volatile market with a lot of companies, even the bigger producers are down significantly. And we're sort of holding our own here at this 10.5, 11 cent level, which is where we're financing. And in this kind of a market, flat is good. I'm quite happy just to stay stable. Coming out of that, I think things will pick up in the fall, and then we'll continue to move forward from there. But in terms of catalysts, we'll be looking at drilling results, and then towards the end of the year, moving into an internal resource estimate that we may not publish that, but it'll give us the internal confidence, and similarly for Auramet, because we do have an NDA with them. So, they'll have access to our data. And so, with all of that moving towards a production decision by the end of the year is really our goal. And, just working on permitting for the project. So there are a number of different sort of parallel tracks for that, because there's, there are water permits, there are environmental permits, forestry, a variety of different things, explosives permit for the underground. There are a number of areas where I think we will be putting out news, and that will give investors confidence that we are continuing to de-risk the project and moving it towards production in a fairly rapid fashion.
Great. So looking forward to those developments as you closer to the production decision on your project. So looking forward to speaking with you again in the future.
Thanks very much, Gilbert.
Thank you for your time here with us today.